At the beginning of the story, we see a man named Barry who brings home several bags filled with money. Looking at the piles of cash, Barry becomes anxious. Where could he possibly hide all this money? His house is already full. There isn't even space left to bury it. Wherever he digs, he ends up hitting money he had already buried earlier. Now Barry thinks of hiding the money in the horse stable. But as soon as he opens the stable door, a heap of cash falls all over him. The entire stable is overflowing with money. But Barry didn't always have this much money. A few years back, he was just a pilot working for an airline. Barry's girlfriend was very beautiful, and he was quite happy with his life. He believed his whole life would continue in peace and happiness. But suddenly, trouble came knocking at his door. One evening, when Barry returned to his hotel room to rest, a bearded man came to meet him and started blackmailing him. The man accused Barry of smuggling cigars for money. Hearing this, Barry began sweating profusely. If this news got out, his reputation would be ruined, and his pilot license would be revoked. Then what would he do with his life? Seeing Barry's panic, the man revealed that he was a CIA agent, and his name was Monty. Monty then introduced Barry to his team and took him to a secret location, an aircraft storage site. When Barry saw the fastest airplane of that time standing there, his eyes gleamed with excitement. The plane had 2 very powerful engines, and Barry began admiring it with great passion. Seeing Barry's enthusiasm, Monty smiled and explained the mission. Barry had to fly this plane over enemy countries in Central America, keeping it low to the ground so that secret aerial photographs could be captured. It was a classified mission, and Barry couldn't tell anyone. Not even his girlfriend, Lucy. But Barry didn't care about anything else anymore. He just wanted to fly his dream plane. Monty opened the hangar doors and let Barry take the plane for a test flight. When Barry got home, he told Lucy that he was quitting his current job because he had found a better opportunity with another company. He didn't mention the mission at all. Lucy found this very strange. Why would a pilot leave a stable airline captain's job to work for some unknown company? That same night, during a flight, Barry suddenly left the cockpit behind, walking away to start a new chapter of his life. From that day forward, Barry became Monty's man. He began flying deep into Central American countries, facing all sorts of dangers to take secret photographs. Each trip was risky, but Barry started enjoying the thrill. When Monty showed the photos to his superiors, everyone praised Barry's work. Still, Barry hadn't told Lucy anything. By now, the two had gotten married and even had a daughter. But Barry's income wasn't enough anymore. He told Monty that he couldn't survive on such a small amount. He needed more money. Monty, however, didn't do anything about it. Soon after, Monty assigned Barry a new mission in Panama. Barry, now used to such tasks, completed it easily. As the year 1980 began, Barry stopped in Colombia to refuel his plane, when suddenly 3 armed men approached him. They forced Barry into their car at gunpoint. With no choice, Barry silently went along with them to their base. There, he met their leader, Pablo Escobar. Pablo already knew Barry's true identity and that he was taking secret aerial photos of Central American territories. Hearing this, Barry panicked and tried to explain that he worked for a regular company, not the CIA. But Pablo knew the full truth and laughed. He told Barry he didn't want to harm him. He just needed his help for a little smuggling job. He wanted Barry to fly some of his goods across borders. Pablo took Barry to his ranch and explained how dangerous smuggling could be. That's why he needed Barry's expertise. For every completed delivery, he'd pay Barry $2,000 per kilo. Hearing this, Barry was thrilled. This was far more money than taking pictures. But once Barry understood the setup, he realized the flaw. The runway Pablo had built was too short. Several pilots had already died attempting takeoffs. Barry suggested extending the runway, saying Pablo had more than enough money. But Pablo replied coldly that if Barry wanted the job, he should just do it, no suggestions needed. That hurt Barry's pride. Determined to prove himself, he declared he'd fly the plane even from that short runway. He also insisted the delivery would happen his way. Barry pointed out a location, an open field, where he could drop the goods from a low altitude, and Pablo could have his men collect them later. Pablo agreed and loaded the cargo. As Barry prepared to leave, he saw one of Pablo's men seated in the co-pilot's chair. Barry calmly explained that the plane was already overloaded. It couldn't carry another person. Pablo ordered the man to get off and, before Barry took off, gave him a cross as a good luck charm. Unbeknownst to Barry, Pablo and his men were betting on whether he'd survive takeoff or crash. Barry skillfully managed to lift off, though the heavy load caused the plane to dip dangerously low at first. He narrowly avoided trees and finally got airborne. But as soon as he entered U.S. airspace, his plane appeared on the military radar, something Barry didn't realize. He reached the designated drop zone, switched on autopilot, opened the hatch, and dropped the cargo. The delivery was complete. The next time Barry returned to Colombia, Pablo and his brothers threw him a welcome party and handed him a bag full of cash as payment. But before Barry could celebrate, Military forces surrounded Pablo's mansion. Pablo told Barry to stay inside and went out to handle the situation himself. Barry had never been caught in such a crossfire before. Bullets were flying everywhere, and panic overtook him. Grabbing the money, he stepped outside to look for Pablo and his men, only to be captured by soldiers. A few days later, Pablo and his men were declared innocent and released. Only Barry remained in jail. While Barry suffered in his cell, covered in bruises with 2 teeth missing, Monty suddenly appeared. Monty told him that he was being charged with drug smuggling, and the police would search his house the next morning at 6 a.m. Hearing this, Barry broke down. He didn't want his family dragged into this mess. He begged Monty for help, not realizing he was falling even deeper into Monty's trap. Monty said he could help, but Barry would have to do something in return. Recently, a neighboring country had undergone a regime change, and many were rebelling against the new president. The U.S. government wanted to secretly supply money and weapons to these rebels without revealing its involvement. The task had been assigned to Monty, and now he had the perfect pilot for it. Monty couldn't erase Barry's criminal record, but he advised Barry to move to a new location, a small town called Mina. With no other option, Barry returned home, woke Lucy and his daughter, and told them to pack quickly. They had to leave immediately. Lucy was confused and kept asking what was going on, but Barry couldn't explain. He just said, "Trust me." By morning, the family left everything behind and drove to the small town of Mina, which had a population of only about 2,000 people. They arrived at a rundown house Monty had arranged for them. As soon as Barry got there, he saw Monty waiting outside. Monty surprised Barry with a gift, an entire 2,000-acre airfield. Everything on that land now belonged to Barry. He couldn't believe his eyes. Monty, who earlier hadn't even raised his pay, was now giving him an airport. Monty then opened a wooden crate filled with AK-47s. Barry's new mission was to transport these weapons to that rebellious country. Monty gave him a detailed map marking military locations so Barry could avoid detection. He also handed Barry a bag of money, the same one seized from Pablo's estate by the military. At this point, Barry had no reason to refuse. He realized it was finally time to tell Lucy the truth. Lucy was furious. She had left a comfortable life in a city for this tiny rural town with barely 2,000 people. Their new house had no TV, no washing machine, nothing. How was she supposed to raise their daughter here? Barry calmly handed her the bag of money and said, "Here's your washing machine." He tossed a few bills around the room, saying, "With this money, we can buy anything we want." Lucy fell silent, her anger fading into disbelief. By 1981, Barry had begun transporting weapons. Carrying a plane full of guns, he reached Nicaragua. He expected the rebels to welcome him warmly, but instead, they showed no interest in the weapons at all. They even stole his sunglasses and shoes. Furious, Barry called Monty to complain, but Monty brushed it off, saying Barry's job was just to deliver the weapons, not to worry about what happened after. Feeling helpless, Barry went back for another delivery, but this time he took a baseball bat for protection. If anyone tries anything, he thought, I'll crack their skull. He delivered the guns, threw in a few small gifts to keep the rebels calm, and was about to leave when he was stunned to see Pablo and his two brothers arriving. But they weren't there to fight. They revealed that the rebels were a fake front created by them, a trick to get financial aid from the US. Now, Pablo wanted Barry to resume smuggling for him again, just like before, using the highly detailed map Monty had given him. And with that, Barry found himself once again caught between two worlds, the CIA and the cartel, flying endless missions loaded with guns, drugs, and danger he didn't refuse because, with the help of the map, the chances of getting caught were very low. For the next few days, Barry worked like a determined man, transporting weapons to Nicaragua and then bringing illegal goods from there into America. The more he worked, the more money he made. His operations grew rapidly, and Barry hired for more pilots so that more deliveries could be done faster. As Barry kept earning piles of money, the CIA decided to take the next step. They didn't just want weapons delivered anymore, they wanted to bring the rebels into the US and train them so that when they returned, they could overthrow their government. Barry asked where the training would take place and where he was supposed to drop them off. Monty replied, "You have a 2,000-acre airport now, don't you? Spare a little space, man." Barry didn't care much about it. Instead of transporting illegal goods, he was now transporting people. It made little difference to him. But things didn't go as the CIA had planned. The rebels, tired of hunger and poverty in their own country, started running away as soon as they reached US soil, saying, "We're not going back there." Barry, however, didn't care about any of this. Soon, a new problem arose. Barry had too much money, more than he could ever hide. He couldn't deposit it in the bank because people would start asking questions about where it came from. So, he only deposited a small portion and used the rest to live a luxurious life. He bought the entire town season tickets for baseball games. He gifted Lucy a brand new car and renovated their whole house. But no matter how much he spent, the money kept doubling. To hide his wealth, Barry opened several fake companies and gave random people in town meaningless jobs just to spread the money around. Every corner of his house was stuffed with cash. Even the backyard was filled with buried money. Barry was living a dream life. But one day, Lucy's useless brother showed up at their house and asked Barry for money. Barry didn't refuse. He just wanted to get rid of him as quickly as possible. But Lucy insisted, saying, "He's not going to live off your money for free. Give him a job." Barry couldn't say no to her, so he took her brother, JB, to the airplane hangar and hired him as a cleaner. Now, the story circles back to where it began. Barry was hiding stacks of cash in his house. He was cleaning up piles of money in the stable when he saw JB arriving with a new car and his girlfriend. Lucy got furious when she found out her brother wasn't working. He had stolen money and was wasting it around town. Barry asked him where he got the money, and JB replied, "I found a bag full of cash while cleaning, so I used it to buy this car." Barry was furious but didn't know what to do. But things didn't stop there. Barry began getting careless. About 2 years later, the police took notice of him. To catch him, the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, set up a trap. But Barry knew everything about airplanes. He knew that DEA planes were faster but had a limited range. So Barry kept flying in circles over the ocean all night until the DEA planes ran out of fuel and had to turn back. But now, it wasn't just the DEA watching Barry, even the FBI had their eyes on him. The insane amount of money Barry was generating had caught their attention. Soon, FBI agents arrived in Mina for investigation. One of them noticed that the town was full of banks and luxury cars on the streets. They couldn't understand how such a small town had become so wealthy. During another mission, Barry also came under the radar of Border Patrol. Remembering how Barry had previously fooled the DEA, the Border Patrol officers decided to send 2 extra planes identical to Barry's, determined to catch him no matter what. Seeing this, Barry got angry and began descending, landing his plane right on the highway. As soon as he stepped out of the plane, he threw some cash at the kids nearby, grabbed a bicycle, and disappeared from the scene. Barry hadn't even caught his breath when Pablo called him. The DEA was now after Pablo as well, so he could no longer stay in Colombia. He had fled to Nicaragua. Barry immediately left to meet him. Meanwhile, JB picked up another bag full of cash, grabbed his car, and went out partying. Carrying the suitcase full of money, he entered a restaurant, but saw police officers eating there. Terrified, JB panicked and ran, but the police chased him down and caught him. At that time, Barry was meeting Pablo. When Lucy heard about what had happened, she called Barry, and he rushed back to Mina. He hired the most expensive lawyer in town to get JB released. But Pablo became suspicious, thinking JB might have told the police everything. He told Barry, "Don't worry, I'll take care of this." Barry instantly realized that if Pablo took matters into his own hands, there would be bloodshed. He tried to stop him, but Pablo wouldn't listen. Barry rushed to meet JB. As soon as JB was released, Barry picked him up, gave him a package containing enough money to last a lifetime, a passport, and flight tickets. Barry wanted JB to leave the country for good. But JB misunderstood, thinking Barry was trying to get rid of him. Furious, he warned Barry, "You better send me money every month, or I'll tell the police everything." He even insulted Lucy. Barry lost his temper, jumped out of the car, and ran after JB, shouting, "Stop, you idiot! I'll teach you a lesson." But before he could reach him, JB panicked, started the car and sped off, only to explode moments later in a massive blast. The money scattered everywhere. Barry stood frozen, realizing immediately that this was Pablo's doing. Barry hooked JB's destroyed car to his own and dragged it into the forest to hide the evidence. Meanwhile, the CIA discovered that the weapons sent to Nicaragua had ended up in the hands of drug traffickers. Out of all the rebels brought to the US for training, only a handful had actually completed it and gone back to fight. The CIA finally realized what a foolish idea the whole plan had been. They ordered Monty to cancel the operation immediately. When Barry saw all the rebels leaving, he asked Monty, "So, no more work?" Monty didn't respond. He simply said, "Wait for my next call." Barry understood that he was finished. Monty didn't need him anymore and wouldn't protect him either. The next day, Monty arrived at his office and ordered, "Burn all the files related to Barry. He has nothing to do with us now." Meanwhile, Barry told his crew to prepare to escape. But before they could leave, the DEA, ATF, FBI, and local police all arrived together. They surrounded Barry, arrested him, and brought him to the prosecutor's office to ensure he received the maximum possible sentence. In the interrogation room, Barry tried bribing everyone, saying, "I'll make you all rich. I'll give each of you $1 million. Fine, 10 million. But then suddenly the lawyer received a phone call. Barry noticed the prosecutor's expression change. She came out furious but ordered the officers to remove Barry's handcuffs. That one phone call had set Barry free. As Barry stepped outside, two men in suits escorted him into a car. He thought they were Monty's men, but instead, they drove him straight to the airport, and from there directly to the White House. Barry was terrified. He had no idea why he was being taken to meet the president. The CIA director and an army colonel explained that Barry would have to make one final deal with Pablo Escobar. This time, they wanted to use the opportunity to capture photographic evidence of Pablo and his associates. Proof so strong it couldn't be denied. Barry agreed, but deep down he was terrified. If Pablo found out he was being betrayed, he'd tear Barry to pieces. After saying goodbye to his family, Barry and his assistant embarked on the dangerous mission. They flew through a violent storm to reach Nicaragua. As soon as the plane door opened, soldiers pointed their guns at them. Barry panicked and tried to explain, "It's just a gift." Just then, Pablo appeared and ordered his men, "Kill him." Barry froze in terror. But suddenly, Pablo burst out laughing and told his men to stand down. That was his twisted way of joking. Barry finally calmed down and handed over all the weapons. Meanwhile, his assistant secretly activated a hidden camera, recording Pablo and his associates clearly. Now, the authorities had undeniable evidence against them. The CIA director was thrilled and threw a party in celebration. Barry had successfully completed one of the most dangerous missions ever. But soon, the government broke its promise. On national television, they showed Barry's face, the man behind the secret mission, supposedly to expose Pablo. But what did they think? That Pablo didn't have a TV? Pablo now knew Barry had betrayed him. Furious, he sent his hitmen to take revenge. The government then completely turned its back on Barry. They charged him with smuggling and confiscated all his money and property. The night before everything was to be seized, Barry told Lucy to wear all her jewelry and leave with the kids, because whatever she wore, the government couldn't take away. Lucy didn't want to leave her husband, but she understood she had no choice. She had to protect their children. The next morning, the FBI raided Barry's house and tore it apart. Barry realized he had lost everything: his family, his money, and his protection. Slowly, the storm settled down, and his sentence was reduced. But Barry knew Pablo would never let him live peacefully. He kept changing hotels every night, living in constant fear. That's how he survived for a few years, until one day, a hitman found him sitting in his car and shot him dead. So what do you think? Was what happened to Barry fair or not? Tell us in the comments below.